a Caucasian gentleman. He says that white people feel that they are oppressed and that they are being held hostage.
I'm sorry, but um, I don't know what kind of oppression he's talking about. But like I said, I look forward to talking to him so we could get a little bit more detailed on what he considers oppression. But
People want to know, why did you laugh?
because it was funny, very funny. Um, Oppression is a very strong word, and it's very hard for anybody to really hear, especially black people, that you feel oppressed and we the ones getting shot at on the street.
There
You
are
know?
some white people that get shot, they would say.
Yeah, but they getting away with it. I'm talking about police officers, George Zimmerman, and bragging about it. There's one thing to walk away from murder and just be bragging about it, and then selling the gun on an auction for $200,000 to just say I killed Trayvon Martin.
Let's go to the phone lines, and then we're gonna get an update on what's going on. Hey, Mr. Soundoff, I think this is Mr. Soundoff.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm well, Mr. Soundoff. Meet Merle Rutledge. What do you think, and what's your question or comment
How you
tonight?
doing, Mr. Rutledge?
Hey, how you doing? It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, I'd like to ask Mr. Rutledge if he's familiar with the killing of Remy Hunt a few years ago by the Danville police. I call it a murder. A lot of people call it a killing. But the way it was done, it was a murder.
Was that the raid on the house
North
by
Main
SWAT
Street.
team?
North Main
North
Street.
Main Hill, this man was old, decrepit, walked with a cane, and he was an only old man. He never bothered anybody, and he was shot 16 times by the Danville police. His hands were shot plumb off of him.
That was in the early. It was in 2000. Go ahead while you're talking. I'll pull it up. But go ahead, Mr. Soundoff.
I was wondering what you thought about that. And another thing I like to say, the guy that just called in about oppression and all that.
Do you feel oppressed? You are
I
Caucasian.
said it before on TV. It's not a black and white thing. It's a rich and poor thing, as far as I'm concerned. Poor white people, poor black people. We take the brunt of the police and everything else.
Well, their whole funding comes from low income people, mostly predominantly African American. But do not think I am overgeneralizing poor whites. The fact is, y'all pay their salaries more than any rich person does, and realistically, I don't know too much about this situation with the 16 gunshots and stuff like that, but it appears to hit you very hard.
Someone is also saying, tell him that Merle Zimmerman is not a white man.
Well, you look at them and you go ahead and put your whole picture on it. Right now, who's all hanging out with them?
Go
and
ahead,
who's
Mr.
supporting it?
Soundoff. Go ahead, Mr. Soundoff.
Well, that's all I had to say. I was just wondering if he was familiar with the Remy Hunt thing.
I'm very familiar that people have been murdered, killed, and of course the Commonwealth attorneys have decided not to press charges because they consider it a justified shooting. Honestly, I believe the Virginia State Police should have handled that investigation to make it a lot more neutral. But of course, unless the city itself go ahead and makes that call, of course, is whatever the Commonwealth attorney decides to say on it. But doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
Murder is still murder. There's no statute of limitations for that.
A 10-year-old in this city could have whooped that man, and the police shot him 16 times.
And that was back in 2006.
It does.
Yeah, 2006. I'm going to pull up the case for him so that he'll be able to read it. Mr. Soundoff, what do you think about this case that Merle has to face tomorrow with the Danville Police Department in Woodside Village?
Well, I'm like him. I don't think it can be won. And if you got a lawyer, make sure you got one from out of town, because all of them here in the clique.
Is your attorney from out of town?
No, I'm actually handling this
Oh,
one
you're
myself.
representing yourself.
Yeah, actually, I found this real interesting because the last case, pretty much the deck was stacked and beyond stacked. Like I said, you make your call when you read the trial transcripts or the motion to suppress hearing, and you can make your own call on it.
All right, Mrs.
At least you ain't scared to do it. At least you standing up, because most people in Danville, they just let things go by, and then when something happens, they just act like it's a surprise. You know what I'm saying?
I could tell you one thing about me. I don't care if you're white, black, if you've been done wrong, I want you to contact me and vice versa. I do not do it just because black people or a certain race is a focal point. I'm a focal point on equal justice, equal protection of the law. And as far as I'm concerned, I look forward to hearing more from you, because the more that we come together, the more we can have a dialogue with the police department, the judges, and more. But it has to be equilateral, meaning we all have to be on the same page and want the same thing. And that's justice.
All right, Mr. Soundoff, thank you so much. All right, 835-4802. There are some people that are messaging me that are trying to get through the line. Someone actually messaged me that's familiar with your case, Merle.
Okay.
They said that everything was caught on the video phone. Is that correct?
We have been there. I believe that's Christy Clay on the line. So hi, Christy Clay. You
All
said.
right. Well, we have a call. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Jessica. Hey, Merle. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Merle, I will say to you, you stand up and fight for yourself. It's America's way. And much courage to you. I think that when you do this, it looks like you're a sore thumb and you stick out, because you don't see much of black advocacy or activism from a black man in this area. But you have the right, as an American citizen, to stand up and protest and peacefully assemble for what you believe. And I know that this makes a lot of folks uncomfortable in this city. Race it makes black people uncomfortable and white people uncomfortable. But Merle, you have rights, and you stand up for them. Win, lose, or draw, you stand. That's what I was taught. Win, lose, or draw, stand. And you continue to fight and with the courage of your conviction. And when you go before God, He'll be your judge. And it's one thing to lose a fight here, but when you go before God, you win the war. So I want to say that no matter what your critics say, because you got plenty of them, you got them both black and white. Don't think that it's just one race, because race is an uncomfortable conversation, and it's an inconvenient conversation, in particular in the South. Now, I want to get on to the gentleman that said that he's afraid of black folks. Well, let's give him credit. He was telling the truth. He was owning up to something that we know is not just a perception. It is a reality. And I will tell you this, Jessica, the fact that you have these ratios make a lot of people uncomfortable, and particularly in the South, in the last Confederacy. And this is why people still think it's important to wave a flag and that they have free speech rights, because
Show that picture, Fabian.
they rebel against progress and the future. And people say, well, what is she saying? I'm saying that some people, and Merle, I'm going more closer to what you wouldn't touch. After the Civil War in 1865 and the Negro left the plantation without anything, there was a policing of the black man. The police department came into being as we know it today. The black man left the plantation with no shoes, and he was policed. We know this because the Ku Klux Klan started in Polk County, Tennessee, right after the Civil War. We also know this because the Supreme Court, that black man was considered 2/3 of a man. So I'm saying to the white caller who does not understand why we are where we are, we got a history. Black folks and white folks got a history, and we might as well just own it. And I think when you have integrity and honesty and you bring it to the table and you lay it out there, you're better off. You got a better opportunity to resolve it. It's when you try to keep hiding things, or you act like they don't exist, or you're in denial. Now, I'm not saying that the gentleman that called is a racist. What I am saying is he has not walked a mile or 10 miles or 100 miles or 1,000 miles or 1,000,000 miles in the black man's shoes. And so when a person like Merle gets up and speaks, everybody becomes upset and inconvenienced.
But he said that white people are oppressed.
Well, he's entitled to his opinion. Now, his view of it, I'm going to address it. In the last 20, 30, 40 years since the 70s, we had affirmative action, and black people could, quote unquote, move into the mainstream of American society. There has been a white backlash of white people feel like they are being threatened and their culture is being threatened. In their eyes, they are correct. But white people have to remember that black people have never been given justice or reconciliation anyway. And we can look at the criminal justice system, we can look at the policing, we can look at the neighborhoods, we can look at the blight, we can look at the food stamps, the poverty. There are tremendous problems in the African people and black people everywhere will do the inconvenient work and look inside themselves and say we need to move forward and make progress and work this thing out, because I do not see, with the school system being predominantly minority and the school system failing, and African American men being incarcerated at record rates for less minor infractions, and black women, young black women, 70% of them having children out of wedlock. That's not just a black problem. That's an American problem. And if I can leave white people with anything in America, you might be doing all right and you might be comfortable, but it's not a black problem. It's an American problem.
I hear you, and appreciate you as always for calling in.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Merle,
this.
we're gonna have to go over time, but we are showing the flag because a few people have mentioned the flag tonight, and that's something you actually wanted to talk about tonight. As well. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, could you hold on? We'll take your phone call after the break if you can hold on for me.
Okay.
All right, hold on, please. Get your thoughts real quick.
Well, it's freedom of speech. I know I do not agree with what the flag represents or its heritage and basically the what we had to deal with because of that flag. But I would be a hypocrite as being a First Amendment advocate to say they don't have a right to fly their flag. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm on their side for that one. But there's a flip side to it. If we take away their flag, that means government could take away our flag. We have black power. We have our expression. We have Black Lives Matter. We have ways to show our opposition. And last time I checked, they lost the war.
All right, on that note, we've got to take a break. Caller, please hold on. If you would like to call in, we'll go over a little bit. 835-4802, that is the number. And I need to correct you on one thing. That wasn't Christy Clay that sent the message. I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay.
So we don't want to falsely accuse her or put that out there. It wasn't Christy. But in the meantime, if you want to talk to Merle, give us a call, 835-4802. We'll take a quick break.